Well, my little sis is with us, and she wanted the spin around chair move, peeps. My little pooch, Carolyn Mackenzie from the morning show up in the Big Smoke. How are you, pooch?
Good, good. I like an entrance.
Yeah, she. I
Do
know
you
you
do you
do.
have like
We can do the Pat McAfee clap. There you go.
although we don't have a studio audience, so I don't even know why I feel
Well,
like I need a round of applause.
I've clapped for you many a day as you as me. We're all good with that. We can support each other till the day we die, Poochie. Well, we've talked and we've finally got you on here, but why don't you? Because I don't even know the facts and how long you been with the morning show now.
10 years?
And then prior to that, you were up in Barrie and out in Nova Scotia or New Brunswick or wherever. Give me a little bit about that.
Well, so I've been with this network, uh, one of the few networks in Canada. I've been with Global TV for almost 20 years, and the morning show for 10. Then I anchored the 11 o'clock news for many years, weekend news. Before that, I was a reporter. Prior to 20 years, almost 20 years at Global, I was with another TV station in Barrie, Ontario. And then prior to that, I was with another TV station out in the east coast of Canada
Been around the block. And what I'm the most proud.
professionally.
Yeah, good point. You haven't been. She's like a daughter to me. She hasn't been around. No. Um, and from what because we avoid politics in our whole family, and it's what I'm proud about. You're just a people person, and you're my little sis. You always are, but just the way that people can relate to you, and you just. I think it's perfect for the morning show for you guys, especially that you just be able to relate to people, and they can whether it's laugh or you spitting your coffee out on your co-host or whatever it may be, and then reporting, of course, and that's all a part of it. And I just, I guess my terminology would be real, and I think you're real, Pooch, and so I'm proud of you.
Thank you. And I mean, it's funny. I didn't know what I needed until I stumbled upon this show. I had been in news for so long, and I went to journalism school, and that was my field of study. And then I was thrown into the morning show based on my needs at home. I had requested those hours, and hold on, I just got to tell my daughter. Sorry, Chris. Hold on.
Here we go.
No,
Yeah,
no, get the bus.
this
I
is fun.
told you that.
Hmm.
Sorry. But this is, hold
This
on.
is
But this
life.
is,
So while Carolyn's dealing with her daughter, I did
I'm
we
back.
did discuss. Oh, she's back. But I did discuss. We changed my camera now, so I don't look ill. A few people noticed that, so I don't know if this one's clearer or not, but we're going with it. And since you're on your
So,
daughter, yeah, she doesn't listen much, but good. I love her like a little niecey.
so, due to these demands at home, uh, yeah, that's why I requested the morning show because of the hours it provided. And then lo and behold, I get on this show and I realize, oh my gosh, where have you been all my life? As with regards to a show and what it allows me to do. Because as you know, news, you can't be yourself. Like everyone always talks about the news voice and how
Right.
you can't. The news is not about you. It's the last thing it is. It should never be about you, and that's the first thing you learn in journalism school. You're not the story, and you spend years telling other people's story and not injecting yourself at all. And this show is the opposite of that. We want to talk about stories that affect everyone, but in a real way.
Right. No, I think you and Jeff do a great job. Um, you bounce off each other real nice. It's not once again not literally, but I whenever we go up there and it was fun. I shared with you. We were skiing with my buddy Bidsy in Michigan and was able to see it. And every time I get to see it, it's pretty cool. And our family, of course, gets to see you daily, or my mom and my nana, that's religiously for them. But so
We
I'm glad that you're successful, doing well, and she's got her hand up and she's ready to. Okay, Carolyn Mackenzie in the back row. What would you like to say?
You know what's funny though? Jeff, we've been working for 10 years now together. He's like an older brother, and he likes to rib me. And I mean,
Which it should be.
I have raised in such a family. I kudos to you and dad and and boy that was around me and our as we, whether it was at our cottage or whatever. Like I just felt like I have a pretty tough skin. Like I can bring it
Right.
on, Jeff, because
Right.
I mean, if I can handle the ribbing
Yeah.
that you you have given and dad and all that, I'm good. Like I one time I have the worst moment on television in my career from the East Coast where I was doing a live hit and I I I was so new to the game that I didn't think I needed notes. I didn't bring any notes out. I set up my camera. I was my own cameraman. I set up my camera. I got ready to do my live hit and a car went by with all these guys in it and they're honking their horns and they're like, rah, rah. And just as the news anchors in Halifax go and Carolyn Mackenzie joins us live in Sydney, Nova Scotia, in Sydney, Cape Breton.
You're giving him the
Uh,
bird.
no, no bird. No, I wouldn't have a job. I like go, I look over and then I look back to the camera.
And you were lost.
I I'm lost. I
Right.
don't know where, what, I don't know who I am. And so much so that in Halifax they were saying, "We got a deer in the headlights. Deer in the headlights. Go to her tape. Go to her story. Go to her tape. Go to her tape." And I just was like,
Yeah, I'm a deer. Start. You should have hopped
it,
around like a deer. It would have been great.
oh, but because of our family and because we love ribbing each other and all of that, I dubbed that down. And I don't even know if I've ever shown you it. As
I
painful
haven't
as
seen
it
it.
is for me to have experienced and lived through, I still dubbed it down on tape so I could bring it back to Ontario and show my family so they could have a good laugh.
Perfect.
So
Yeah, you need to show me that
anyway,
sometime. Well, you've had the old man Johnny Mack on the show. I I've seen those
yeah,
clips of
Father's Day.
his peanut butter and ketchup sandwiches.
Oh, that was we talked. Yeah, we just talked about oddities and odd things. But he's
Right.
actually been on the show for Father's Day. We got him to do a walk on and read us dad jokes.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and dad actually got nervous. Dad doesn't get nervous. And
Oh, I
I'm
think I
looking
remember
at
seeing
him.
this. I'm like, yeah, you had the opportunity, Johnny Mack. What'd you fall apart for? Right.
And then he
That wasn't
he
Johnny
kind
Mack. That was Jeffy Mack.
of I'm looking over at him and dad's delivering the he does his he's setting up the punchline. He delivers the knock knock joke or whatever, but he just jumped right into the punchline without like waiting to beat. And I was like, wow, he's a bit nervous.
Daddy. Well, you
Oh,
had, because I've, from my playing days, where, and we'll get into that because we've had some good road trips together as bro sis. Um, but my playing days to, I guess me being the celebrity, and now you've been the celebrity for 20 plus, my dear. And when I've always shared with people, whether you're in the spotlight or not, it doesn't. We say it doesn't. It shouldn't change who you are, and it hasn't. And I'm once again give you another pat on the back there. Proud of you for that. And it can for a lot of people. Um, but then when you look at who you're dealing with, and you've got, are you, because I don't even know for the morning show, you've got people coming in for their pub in there, whether it's new release song, whatever. Is that what
yeah,
you're getting? Right.
yeah.
So who have you been your favorites? A bunch, I'm sure.
No surprise. funny people.
Right.
Um, Will Ferrell, um, Will Arnett.
Canadian, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Right.
Actually, another Canadian. Do you know Eric McCormack from Will and Grace?
Mm-hmm.
Anyone who has any connection to a Will.
Is there a reason you expanded on the McCormack?
Geez, you know what? I'm
I
thinking.
don't think
I don't know
it's
if it's
spelt that way, I believe, but I don't think you pronounce it that way.
maybe I'm just doing what I do for. Is Eric McCormack? Eric McCormack. Oh
Right.
gosh, I
Right.
don't know. um, but those guys are great. They've all been. Ryan Reynolds is great. He's super fun. Another Canadian. I
Right.
mean, to your point about celebrity, and the funny thing is, and I wonder if because you have also hung out with a lot of celebrities, particularly with during your time in LA. Don't you find the bigger celebrity you are, the cooler the person is?
Yeah, it can be. So like, as you know, Q is a close friend of mine. Um, Cuba Gooding
Q
Jr.
being
Cuba Gooding
right.
Jr. Right. So when he did McGuire, and then we got into that, and he was just a real down to earth guy. Like how we befriended each other. We were in the shower after celebrity hockey, and why everything gets to showers, I have no idea. But you got to shower after you get stinky, and as I was scrubbing my hair back then, and I was kind of like,
Let me shake your hand.
didn't do that, but it was kind of like the boys really respect you, and uh, loved. I loved this movie Gladiator, and it had uh, Brian Dennehy in as well, who reminds me of our father.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know if you've watched it, but you should watch it. It's good. And so, and from top, like Hugh really wasn't an A-lister, I would say. And then he got McGuire, and that was pretty substantial for him. Ended up getting Best Supporting Actor, all of that. He was like one of the buds. Seeing even guys on that, TC, Tom Cruise, no, he was fine. You guys have shared with a lot in the media of things that went down. He was so big, it was hard because like when we went and shot in Arizona for all the football scenes, when he wanted to go out or when we went out with him, we'd have to close the restaurant down. And so that can get, to make anybody who's normal, that can get a little overwhelming or a little hard, and that's why you don't do it, I guess. Um, but
But how was he? Like, how was he to hang out with?
he was fine. He lived in Canada. He loved hockey. He kind of like we'd go into his bus when the playoffs were on, and we watch Hockey Night in Canada, and he'd be
Are we
some
talking Tom?
yeah. We'd be playing.
He lived in Canada.
He grew up in Ottawa.
Okay.
Shared this with someone the other day. They didn't know that either. Um, I don't know how long he was in Ottawa, so maybe that's why he liked hockey. But so he came out and he skated a bit with us, and then he's sometimes a bit of an introvert where he just plays. He really liked the what you call it, not shoot 'em up games, but he flew a plane or something. And so he was doing that while we were watching hockey. But good guy, relate to, and that's as big as you can get, right? So, but then there were some guys that were kind of like that's why you said bigger the better, and yeah, I agree because once you made it, like who cares? But there were some guys that were you would think would be almost up there second unit director and what like there was a lot of things where there was a ton of egos like as you know me I didn't all those guys were just like my buddies when Fibsy showed up and we were shooting for that one scene. Fibsy's looking at Fibsy from our cottage and he walks right into the studio set and there's Tom and me and I was reading for that part and he's like what is going on here. I'm like hi Fibsy, how you doing? And but there was also the like the second unit director when we were in Arizona, and he was like, "Yo, you got to get your shirt on." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's right here." And I'm like, "Who are you?" And then my buddy saw that on ET later in LA, and I'm like, "Yeah, well, whatever." I kind of just had fun with it, I guess we'll call it. But then wanted to go play hockey and make no money. But that was a good shift. You came down there with your pals, experienced some fun, saw some stuff, and that was you were school still, weren't you?
Yeah, yeah. I
At
was
that
in
point.
third year journalism school.
All right.
Um, but let's just go back. I just want to circle back
Yeah,
to
circle.
that point. Um, you're right. It's the egos, and I think what it is, because I've interviewed so many celebrities. I Tom Cruise. Well, I've never met Tom Cruise. I've never interviewed Tom Cruise.
Right.
Um, but
TC,
of
Paula Wagner, whoever you're working with, yeah, I think those two, get a hold of Carolyn. You guys would have a fun interview. Sorry to interrupt, Pooch.
um, but we of all the celebrities, though, I mean, they've ranged, and I don't know if it's I don't know if it's sometimes their teams that they come in with, if who where the messaging or where the ego is coming, like if it's, I don't know if it's coming from the celebrity or the handlers, and where it's kind of getting lost in translation. But I'm just always amazed that in the years that I've interviewed people, it just seems to be the ones who are most established seem to have the the least amount of ego, which I find kind
Right.
of amazing.
Well, no, and you got to
Um,
remember, I think, and the teams, I guess, are trying to protect the person, but it, where they're going to feel, they got to understand that they're not going to get, whether it's railroaded or whether it's whatever, and if there's a comfort level, and I would think, you know, just the person you are, and the way you guys are handling it, it's got to be comfortable. You guys are having a good time.
okay, so here's a cool, okay, Will Ferrell. Like here's an example of that too, like being super cool and just doing what a good person would do. So when I was interviewing him, I went to his where they were doing the interviews, to this hotel where they were doing all the interviews, and all the media goes there. And in the middle of the interview, well, no, that's another story. It was kind of fun. In the middle of the interview, my phone, I forgot, I threw my phone underneath my seat. Well, no, I sat on it. It was under
Right.
my butt. And I'm interviewing him. In the middle of the interview, Siri's like, "What was
What's
that?"
right? Is your ass talking to me?
Exactly. And that's exactly what Will's like, "Come from your butt." And I go, "Yes, it did. It did. It sure did. My butt
Right.
had that question for you." And that was funny. It was like, it was turned out to be a fun moment. But then after the interview, I went to take a photo, and now my phone just refuses to work, is not working. I go to take a photo of the two of us, a selfie, and it's not working. And that's too bad, because I wanted it for social media, to promote the interview coming up on the show. And I go back into the holding room where reporters and people go, and 20 minutes, half an hour goes by. I'm packing up my stuff because I'm done with the interview, and he happens to be walking by with his team. He's done his interviews for the day,
Right.
and he's walking by, and he pokes his head into the media room, which he doesn't have to do. And he looks in, and he goes, and he sees me, and he's like, "Is your phone working now?" And I go, "It is." And he goes, "Want to take that photo?" I go, "Okay." So I go into the hallway, and we do the selfie, and his team is just like, "What's going on?" and,
Right.
and then I'm like, "Thanks. Thank you, Will." So just a cool, that's just an example where people are,
Right.
get a big check mark on my list.
No, and I think you have to be, if if you get caught up in it from whatever extent, whether it's between your own head, the ego, and there's a ton of it that happens, the cutthroat, and that's what LA is. It can be that was that's when Shummer and I were talking the other day, and I was like, that's why my kids, that's why I didn't stay. I wanted kids, wanted them, to grow up outside of that, and it can be hard. But
Yeah.
so when let's talk. If we say what road trip you want to talk about first, Car? There's a few good ones.
Um,
Want to talk
well, gosh,
Colorado?
I
So
don't
we did
know.
we did Colorado with. Well, actually, speaking of, so I don't forget, I was kind of like, as I did, so the whole Mackenzie family, if you ask them to do something, it's like, hey, how do I pass it on to somebody else? I asked Carolyn and my dad and my kids, I'm like, hey, what do you think? Because, concussion boy here, can't remember Tuesday, but I was like, hey, just remind me of a few good stories. And nobody goes, silence, Dad fires back with, "You guys are great. You'll talk, but just be yourselves." I'm like, "Thanks, Dad. I appreciate that. We plan on that." But she's been to more championships than I've ever been, even Wexford. I was like, "Yeah, good point. She has."
I
Uh,
feel badly for him.
I don't think you were at Wexford, but maybe you might have been.
I
Well, that was junior,
oh, I
so
don't
you would have
know.
been like 14. But I was in Toronto. But Kara came down to see me in Dallas. That was a good one. That was a surprise. Um,
Yeah, that was dad had asked me. He said I was
for
just
a
graduating from
graduation present, right?
university. Yeah, he asked me what I wanted for a present, and I said, "Could you fly me to see Chris's uh,
You came
end
back
of
with us
season?"
from Dallas to El Paso, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah.
That was a bit of a whirlwind. That was a good party in the hotel that night. There was Kara was flying around.
Well,
I was I was
no,
carrying you
so
around on the ice too, wasn't I?
but here's the thing. No, you never lifted me up like a trophy.
Okay. I saw a picture. It must have been my buddy and his wife.
I came out onto the ice and I took photos and we took photos together, but no, I wasn't lifted.
Good.
But we hugged. It was cool. It was super cool. But it was anyone. I remember being going down there and I've never experienced the life of an athlete in any way, shape, or form. um, but the life of an athlete. So I flew down to Fort Worth and I'm there and I'm like, oh, hi team, hi. And then you guys are all like, okay, good night. And I'm like, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. What are you guys doing? And just the shutdown, you guys all go to bed. You're like vampires.
All
You
right.
all go sleep and relax. And do you actually sleep?
Yeah, so some guys are different times, but normally it's so home team on the ice pregame skate 10, a road team 11. Then guys would have a pregame meal. That was a little early for me. I
Yeah, there was a huge meal.
right. I'd go to sleep. I like when I was at home. I like to go to sleep there. Then 12 to 2, and then eat at about 3. So when I was on the road, it was a little different. But yeah, then you get up and start moving, and then you got to remember you're working from 7 to 10, and then normally after you might have a soda or two. So
Yeah. But as a visitor, it was kind of lonely, like
oh,
visiting you guys. And like, I'm just like,
you
I
just
just
saw the
walked
one
around
game or
Fort
two?
Worth.
Did you?
I think I saw two.
Did you? Right. So well, that's right. So
Maybe
we swept them, I believe. So it would have been
you
game three,
did.
4 there, then came back with us, and that was
You won in Fort Worth.
right. One in Fort Worth, and we came back to El Paso, and that was pretty cool to see because you came down in the whole entourage there, right? You were
Yeah.
at the airport. Everybody was blowing mariachi horns and stuff, and whatever.
Yeah.
That was good
Yeah.
times.
That was cool. That was cool. Um, but
The,
yeah, back to dad. Like poor dad. He's the guy that
he's been everywhere. I
was
mean, he
there
just
was
hasn't
there
made
from
the
day one and hasn't seen one trophy. That is
Johnny,
so
Johnny, Johnny. I won't hold it against
I
him.
there's nothing to hold against. I mean, because I even told him, I go, you flew me down. Why didn't you fly yourself as well?
Right.
And I'm like, were you off to other parts of the world for your stores? And it must
Don't
have.
know.
I mean, he must have been
He's getting ready to go on a
busy.
little
But
trip,
anyway,
but Colorado we did. That was fun. That was a cousin's wedding, the Mikey Mackenzie, which I don't get to see those guys much, but this is Dad post almost dying on a motorcycle, and I guess we can. Well, let's backtrack to that story. Dad used to go see his stores. He used to have dollar stores up northern Ontario, trying to push it too hard and doing a little too much. Traffic on the 400 backs into or drives into the back of someone, almost loses it. Like was a rib. You were up there. You're trying to. Carolyn calls me and I knew something was wrong right at the beginning. She couldn't say shit, and I'm like, "What's up? And who's hurt?" And like, it's Dad. It's Marsa. I'm like, he's all right. Yeah, he's okay. He's trying to. And so anyway, I'm like, all right, I'll see you in a minute. Well, not in a minute. It took me, I don't know, 7 hours, 8 hours, 9 hours to get up there because it was up in Barrie. But that was at the time when I only had one car and one bike. Ex-wife, young kid, so I couldn't take the car. So I take the bike, and then you guys were all like, "All right, here we go, another bike wreck coming up." But make it up
Yeah.
there. Dad's okay, gets through it. Well, I don't know whether it was a year later or whatever. He wants to get back on the horse again. Doesn't have a bike anymore. But we're like, all right. Well, he goes, let's ride out to Mikey's wedding, and so you and Starkey, your husband, take our bags, and we just take our carry on our bikes. Fun trip, great trip. We rode because we've in the past we've trailered to Sturgis, which is a long ride. You don't want to, when your guys ride out, they call it trailer week, but when guys ride out to Sturgis, it's kind of like, oh, you're a pussy, you want to only ride trailer out or whatever, whatever. Well, these guys, when you got there, you wanted to ride every day. Well, that's why we didn't want to. We trailered out to Sturgis. We ride out to Colorado, and then we take you guys, and we saw some. You wait 3 minutes, you ask for the weather to change in Colorado. It could go from a snowstorm to 80 degrees, and we went up and saw whatever that state park was, and then saw some great pics.
Estes.
Estes, and then saw some great pics. Then did another trip, and then we're doing all that, and then we finally get to the wedding, and we had a fun little just me, you, Starkey, and Dad in our room where there was more humor and laughter and that's what family's all about when you can do stuff like that. Because you bring and I tell you everything to bring. Sometimes Carolyn doesn't listen as good as she should, but she's got a lot going on. We'll say there's that smile. I love her. She's thinking of something. So I said, here's the French cuff shirt. I told her where my cufflinks are, everything. Well, we get there and the cufflinks aren't there. Well, as everybody knows, the a cufflink shirt goes down to here if it just flops around. And then Dad just yells at me and goes, "You're as stubborn as a canal horse." And we didn't know what canal horse meant. And that was a trudging old horse that just goes through the water. And I'll wear it. And then he's asking your husband to bend these bobby pins into velociraptor claws. And all I could picture is, Dad giving people hugs at the wedding and just ripping banana straps throughout the whole night. And
Well, see, look what a good parent he is, though. He gave you his cufflinks and he
right.
wore daggers on his wrists all night. He
maybe
took one for the team.
maybe I don't know. They maybe wanted to rip banana straps too, so who knows. But yeah,
Oh,
he's
gosh.
he's a champ. He's been around for a lot of road trips. Would we do the oh, I know a good one. It's sitting on my stairs, and I think it's in your house too. That picture of us at not Myrtle. Yeah, my other brother, our other sibling, just did that. We just did Myrtle with Sega. Yep, whatever year.
Oh,
Early
yeah,
on, you
yeah,
were at the VR maybe. Went with Vec,
yeah,
and yeah,
yeah.
that's a
We saw
top.
them.
That's a top drawer, and I've seen the hip many a time, and it had a little VIP section right off to the side. It was sweet. It was sun setting. Another good trip there. Coming up to see you,
Oh, in
Ottawa.
Ottawa.
Yeah, that was fun too.
Yeah, that's where our house had been robbed and
All
broken
right.
into a number of times. We had become a case for the Ottawa police because of the chronic break-ins that just kept happening literally weekly
I think
in
I
our
walked
house. Like there
around with
was
just my
nothing.
shirt off for that whole week, just so you could. I'd be security
Why
as
had
well
it
as
been
maybe
taken?
impress
And
your friends.
oh, I thought I had your shirt had been stolen in one of
Uh,
the break.
give me my clothing back.
Like we had, I was like, what left do they have? What left is left in here for them to take? Like
Right.
they just kept coming in and taking more stuff. It was just my girlfriend Shannon was sleeping through a break-in. I go, goes to show how how well university people sleep.
Right.
But anyway, so yeah, we just kept getting robbed, and you were there through one of them. Because we had all gone out and we came back and we're like, oh look, they're back. They've been back again. Took our
Mhm.
computers this time.
Right.
Just kept taking more. Um,
Well,
but
our place back home, our place where we call home, where
our mom's house.
your mom's house.
Are you talking about that place?
No, I'm talking about our cottage.
What that got broken into
No,
by raccoons?
raccoons break into that place. Yes, I've had to have standoff with raccoons when Mia was small.
Vermin tend to break into it between the months of November and April,
Right? No, just
and every month in between.
pertaining to what we call home, Pooch, where our families get to share, and that's all where our kids kind of get to spend time together. That's it, right? In winter, whether it's Jack playing hockey or everybody doing their
How
thing.
did you how did you go from that? I thought you were talking break-ins.
I was just talking road trips.
Like this is
Road trips.
like
Yeah, we
follow the
go.
bouncy ball. Remember
Stick
that
with it.
old show? Remember
Stick.
that old show when we were kids and you watched the bouncy ball?
Yeah, I
Like,
do, but I don't know. Was
I
that
thought we were
Sesame Street or was that something?
I don't know. Like I just remember the ball
Right.
bouncing. So
I think you got to
okay,
hum to the beat.
with left break-ins,
Well, yeah, shit. We didn't want to talk
uh,
about break-ins anymore. I thought it's bringing me down. I was ready to go grab a drink. I know it's Friday and all, but
but you bring up a story and then you leave it, and I want to go. The one you
if you
mentioned
got something to
Dad's
add, I'm
motorcycle.
ready.
Well, you mentioned Dad's motorcycle accident
Yep.
from some time ago, and I just want to say, I I will never do this again. And because when I got the news, I was the first one to get the news about him being in critical care motorcycle accident on the highway. I was about to do the 11 o'clock news for that TV station,
Right.
and we were like an hour to air. And the assignment desk, the call came in from the local hospital, and then they were like, "Carolyn, your dad's been in a motorcycle accident and is in critical care." And I drove myself to the hospital, and I don't know why I did that because it's amazing that I didn't land beside because
When did
it
you call
was.
me?
Have you ever probably that night?
You
I would
waited.
imagine.
You waited that long? I thought you just found out and
Well, it
told me.
was night. It was 6:30 or so when. No, it wasn't. It was before
No.
the 11 o'clock news.
Yeah, I
So,
left.
like it was like 10. So I'm sure when I got there, saw him um, within the hour of finding out, I guess. But have you ever? I will. So I will never do that again. When there's a moment of trauma, unbelievable trauma. Well, you hopped on a motorcycle
Will
and
I ever?
drove.
Yes, I'll make it work.
Well, I won't. I won't drive myself any because like that was I. It was. I'm just like. "Ah!" I'm like.
Well,
I'm just going.
I had to keep it together for like 9 hours. So yeah, I was trying to focus pretty good.
My drive was 5 minutes from the TV station to the hospital, and I'm oh,
Yeah, we
show up
can
on the curb,
we handle things a
right through
little
the
different.
emergency doors.
Well, that reminds me of coming back for my second daughter's birth. I had the pager. I was playing in Port Huron. Just left Indy, meaning not to play anymore. We were playing in Port Huron. Dre and Mia, soon to be Ella, hadn't left yet. They were waiting for the birth. Her mom came, was hanging out, so everybody was cool. Well, I got the page, it went off, and that was game day. As once again we were playing vampires, but it was at 6 in the morning. Tell the coach, hey, I can't play tonight, so go rent my car. Well, drove from Rockford to Indy in 2.5 hours, and it normally takes about 3.5 from Chicago to Indy. Rockford's an hour past that, so normally so I was going pretty fast. I was calling police stations and saying, hey, I'm coming in hot here. Can you not give me a ticket or get me arrested? They said, no, we can't do that. But anyway, made her, but drove right up to the hospital, left my car running, run through the front door. Are we good? All right, we're good. Not having a kid. Go. Let me go park the car. I'll be back. So,
Only you would do that.
right.
Are you like, can you give me an escort, please, to the hospital? Do you think that's possible?
Stop playing with your
I,
phone, Carolyn.
no, I'm getting a message.
I
I'm
don't
just
see.
getting
I
rid of
don't see
getting
him
them
on
off
your.
the screen.
I don't see him on your side.
You don't
But
see. Okay.
yeah, you're good.
Um,
So we
yeah.
touched on it. You didn't want to go further, but we'll get on it. Cottage.
Well,
That's just our home place, right? That's
yeah.
to have a place like that for all families, whether it's, and that's why I love just hearing whether it's people going on family vacations, whether it's what I just did. You guys bailed on us, but it's all right. You guys were busy. Just even spending that time with Jakey, who's our brother, who was, second marriage with, and he's almost like a kid to us, but still, it was great to be able to spend some time. And when we get to spend the time with everybody, that's even more special. And I love hearing families being able to do that. A lot of people don't have our situation because it's not very often you can have a place run through 6 generations. Who knows? We're probably going to screw it up in our generation, but hopefully not. But
What do
with
you mean?
I'm,
What do,
who
what do,
knows?
what do you mean by that?
I don't know what Dad's will written on a piece of paper, whether it's in crayon or not. We've still got Mikey
Right.
and
Okay.
Scotty. It's
Um,
not.
right. Just there's just so
Yeah.
many. It's yeah. There are so many people that inherit. When yeah, I
Well,
hear
we're
what you're saying.
1890, whatever it is. And the best part now is some of our friends are actually building. So that's good. Um, I don't know how it goes.
And this the fact. Well, and the fact, and every not not only is it just such a treasure that we have this place that we all can come together, but it's also a living miracle that it's even still standing. And that's the other
Right.
um,
We've patched it up a little.
situation moving forward. Like, yeah, like, yeah, patch.
She's still patching.
How long has it been? How long has it been standing?
This last thing, our last
So
structure, 40,
2024.
40s. Dad's when Dad
But
was
it
born.
wasn't it. No, it was built by our ancestors in
18. If it was
1902.
Carolyn, back then it was a dirt floor and 4 tent poles that went up.
I know.
Right.
And
So
then they just kept
the
like
structure
making
that
them.
you see today was built around the 40s when Dad was born.
So between 1902 and the 40s,
It was
it was just a
tent to
canvas
something
tent.
else. No, it was something else too. I think
No,
there was a
there was
tweener.
something a bit more permanent because
Okay.
they would bring our ancestor, who was the headmaster at a private school in Belleville, would come horse and carriage.
Mm-hmm.
It would take him a day to get there, or maybe that's the people, the family from York, from
Sound like Dad
which would
making shit up now.
anyway.
They rode for 4 days and 4 nights from Belleville.
But they
How
did.
far is that?
It's
20
either
kilometers.
maybe from Toronto took a day.
Well,
Maybe
how
the
fast is
Toronto
the
horse and
horse going?
carriage. Oh gosh, don't give me a word problem
Here
like
we go
this.
again. This is
So
the
so
Kim
anyway,
family. Still
there
haven't got the answer.
yes, my son had a word problem involving the Kim family if they left this place and this place going at this
There were
speed.
two
But
correct
back to the
answers.
horse and carriage. But Chris,
Yeah.
no, I think you're wrong in these numbers because our great grandfather, who was the headmaster, they would bring their remember they would bring their housekeeper
Yeah.
and I can't imagine them staying in a tent. And I
Well,
think that was before the 40s.
okay.
But
Maybe,
anyway,
maybe. I know our
uh,
room was the old maid's quarters or whatever.
right.
Do you
And
remember
it's
that?
just so funny, the maid's quarters, given like what it is,
Right.
and
It's a
it's
shack
not deserving. It's not
of a maid.
deserving of
How did you
a
pull it
maid's
off? Well,
quarter.
you got a maid quarter. Yeah, it's definitely don't for people who don't know what it is. It's maybe 1,000 square feet. So, but
And
it's
I find
all we
when
do
I
is
tell
sleep in
people,
it.
you don't like this. You don't like this when I say call it a cabin and we call it a cottage, but cabin I find gives people the visual to picture like how small and quaint
I just say you
and
could talk to me
rustic.
from one end of the cottage to the other, and all you're doing is sleeping in there anyway, so it doesn't matter.
And you get to know people's bowel movements really well. Um,
There's some good ones after the nights we have there, I'll tell you.
and we have, if it's yellow, let it mellow rules. So
That's
that's
important. You don't
fun
want
in
your
the middle of a
septic to
heat
ruin.
wave. No, you don't. But heat waves
Well, then
and
you got to do a flush. Then you got to do
yeah,
flush.
oh
But we had
yeah,
some good nights.
it's
And is
there's
that where your karaoke love started or what? Because
no,
it wasn't. It was
no,
prior. Because
no.
we've had some pretty
It
good
was
bashes. There's been, from top to bottom, whether it's our cocktail hours with generations prior to she's gone.
no. I'm just
to
gonna show you
to
that my my karaoke machine is never far away.
no, I understand. Carolyn wanted to sing at the end of this. Maybe we'll do another show for the people at one time. We couldn't quite get the audio mic, and she was gonna have to guess what song we were singing, and it just wasn't gonna work. But
We're gonna do it though. We're
we'll
gonna
do it.
make it happen.
We'll get her. We can. We don't
Um,
have to do a full show. We'll just do a song.
but my karaoke love, um, how it all began was Chris bought it for me, not this one, two karaoke machines ago. He bought me a machine for Christmas. It was not long after Patty died. It was only a month after Patty died, and um, it became it is what I needed. It's so badly over that Christmas break. I just sang my heart out, and I haven't stopped.
Good for you.
Haven't
Yeah, you get pretty.
stopped.
You get a little Barbara Streisand going where it's the emotions take over. It's good. I like it. You got to do that to be able to sing properly and let
Well,
your audience
particularly if
capture your emotion.
well, it's just a great way, a great release
Yeah,
to
I like getting after it.
get
The kids do too, and they're having fun
frustrations
with it.
out.
I like to see.
Hmm.
I like to see Johnny Mack and Jakey getting into it. Like,
Oh, I know. Well, and your son,
all right. So
Jacko,
Jacko
we
live
got
with you.
we got into it quite a bit. We did a lot of Adele when he was living here.
He was singing Adele.
Oh yeah,
All right, Jackie.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It was
For those that don't know, Jack lived with Carolyn for a year to play hockey up in the Great White North, and had a great time and enjoyed. It's great to be able to spend it with family. I was fortunate enough that I could come visit you guys a lot more and spend some time with my niece and nephew, who my nephew's a small bit. He gets after it, and I have fun with that little bugger. I was going to say another word, but I'm now sensitive of the sound waves here. And then my niece, who I love very much. But yeah, we just don't get to see you guys as much, and that was good. We got to be able to do that for a bit more than normal, we'll call it. But he had a blast up there with you guys.
What do you when you go? "Meh," what does that mean?
That was my beep. Beep. Yeah, a sensor.
No, no, no. I don't mean to censor. Like when
Oh,
you're
for
like
Maddie?
your little guy, "Mer, mer," like
Murphy's.
"Mer." What does that mean?
I say a lot of words that don't make sense.
I,
Should we get into your
I,
song that I sang you? Carolina.
no,
Yeah,
no,
we
we
shouldn't
shouldn't.
get. We won't
No,
do
we
that song.
shouldn't. We shouldn't.
Okay.
I've
There,
just
there she
finished
goes.
therapy
This
over
is
that
fun
song
doing
that you
this.
used
Let's
to sing to
let's
me.
just do this with our fingers.
It's your kids who are texting on our
My
family
oh,
group text.
fun
Um,
times.
what was I
Yeah,
going
I
to
don't know about
say?
this camera, my camera either. We're gonna have to look at that. Yoki. We'll do a yoki. Carolyn wants to do a duet. Um, Maybe we'll even get Starkey as our backup dancer because he's good at that. Get the kids
Well, he
involved.
actually has a couple of songs. We've been working on them.
What are they?
A Backstreet song, and because he can reach some high notes. Um,
Okay.
Bee Gees,
I need. Can I have song
and
titles?
uh,
No. Okay.
Tell Me Why
Okay. Not bad.
Ain't Nothing But a that one.
Heartache.
I think it's
Ten,
Backstreet. Tell Me
insane.
Why.
Yeah, that's Backstreet. I think.
Is it Backstreet?
Believe so.
And yeah, so we've been working on it because Starkey's he's a great supporter of our family, but I want to hear him step up to the microphone a bit more.
Right. Yeah.
So we're working on it.
Good. Well, to my
He's the family videographer. That's what he gets all our videos.
no,
But
he's good at that. I like that because I'd never capture it. I'd never bring my phone.
oh my God, we wouldn't have anything if it wasn't for Chris recording on it.
Right.
He's recorded on all our stuff.
Well, yeah, he just recorded you and
So
Dad doing the Friday dance, so that was good.
yeah, yeah.
Well, to
So
all of you hosers up north, lots of love. Um, I think we can have a bit of fun with this, and we'll get some yoki in the future, Pooch. Proud of you. You keep
okay,
up the good work and fight the fight and do the things that you should do. Rock on. Love you,
we got to
Pooch.
do our turnaround.
Oh, yeah, turn around
Okay.
close. All right,
Yeah.
lots of love.
Oh
See you,
yeah.
beeps.
See you later.
You dork.